guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for Eden Zero, Chapter 110. And ooh boy, this was another one of those chapters for sure. Like it it there's a lot about it that just kind of like I can't say it was necessarily mind blowing, but the reveals in itself were very a lot of what we see in this chapter, it was very revealing to say the least. Like a lot of what we a lot of what's touched on here, it's kind of it's eye opening to say the least about this world and whatnot. Like, okay, to start off, the big thing with the chapter is that Shiki had made it across the cave to the Mother Beacon with the help of Witch and Laguna, which just on that alone, I like Mashima's slight twist on my expectations with Laguna here in the sense where even though he was still a large part of helping helping Shiki get through the cave, they still took the time to address the fact that no one single power alone was enough to get Shiki through. It required a contribution from all three of them. It required a contribution from Shiki, from Witch, and from Laguna. It required all three of them to contribute in some way. So it not only plays up not only the whole teamwork cooperation aspect of this trial, but also that you need all the right pieces for success in order to actually get across. Now, having said that, this is definitely a strategy that worked for originally Shiki and his crew. This is a strategy that works strictly and specifically for Shiki and his crew. But with the reveal that there was no one with Ziggy at the time that he took this trial, that just raises the question even further of by what means did he make it through? Like, is from Ziggy just made of some kind of special? Is Ziggy's whole body just made of some kind of special alloy that can withstand pretty much large high temperatures of heat or something like that? Like there really is a question right now of how the hell that Ziggy had managed to do this without even without any one of the other Starshines. Like the fact that he did this trial alone is very perplexing in some ways. Now let's talk about what's discovered at the end of the cave, because it's revealed to us that the Mother Beacon, or at least the Mother Beacon in its current form, is literally Mother's ether in itself. And that's one of those things where you don't think too hard about it at the time, but it does make the most logical sense that her own life force and power would be what would basically be the thing that would lead people to her. I mean, it's only logical that her own power is what would lead. It makes sense that it would be your own power and life force that would be like a tracker for people to find her. Now, keeping in mind that so many have tried and failed up to this point to actually reach her, including Ziggy, it does also keep perspective that even though following the strands of her ether sounds simple enough, it's probably going to be a lot more difficult than we think. And that's not even including the numerous enemies that the crew is more than likely to encounter along the way. Like, there's just, it's, the whole thing in itself, on the surface level, it's just, yeah, this is way too easy. There's gonna be a hitch here. Something has got to be thrown into the mix here. It's all just way too easy. And the other thing though that ties into this is we learn the treasure that was stolen is what was helping to power the androids on Red Cave. And just knowing that small little detail is further giving like a lot more basically valid reasoning for the theory I had a while ago that Mother is the progenitor of all machines. I mean, hell, it's kind of more than implied that's the case now. That's the case, especially now that we know that the treasure that was stolen from the temple was an actual beacon that was meant to lead all of Red Cave's machines to her. So that in itself tells me tells me, one, I definitely believe that there's more than one actual beacon out there, but two, that like that again, like I said, like that in some form or fashion, that mother is the one who basically has given life to basically pretty much all machines on this. Like even if humans have built the actual bodies themselves, like mother is the one who's basically given life to basically all of them. And a life personality, just everything that makes up like a sapient machine in this world. Mother is the one who's basically who's responsible for all of that. And and again, just that there has to be the fact that, like, just the fact that it is a case of mother's life force, like being like mother's life force having power of them. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. um Now, the other thing about this chapter, though, is that Rebecca chooses to withhold the truth about Andrew from Nadia, and that's one of those things where, depending on how much longer that Mashima plans for this arc to be, um, this is going to play out. This is going to play out in one of two ways based on that. Either Nadia finds out herself what happened to Andrew, and Rebecca's decision comes back to bite them in the ass, in the sense where she basically turns against them and becomes bitter towards humans and basically eternally heartbroken over her lost love. Pretty much similar to how Hermit was. Or the other option here is or the other option is that Rebecca eventually does tell her the truth, and it provides Nadia with some kind of peace of mind in order to unplug herself and die alongside all the other androids and be with her love and death. Personally, I think the latter feels more along the lines of what Mashi's going with here, and it would make more sense thematically about love, life, and death if you went that route. Right now, it's real. The big thing, though, is if Mashima does go down that route of just eventually telling Nadia the truth, what exactly is going to be the motivator in order to what exactly is going to be the motivator here in order for Rebecca to finally like fess up and tell the truth about what happened to Andrew, because that there right now there needs to be a motivator and a linchpin of something going wrong here, in order for her to finally tell the truth to Nadia. And again, all this is really just based on how much longer that Mashima intends for this arc to be. But yeah. Um. Oh, and Weiss, about your little jab about humans and machines falling in love. Try taking a trip into the cyberpunk subgenre. Trust me, you'd be shocked by how much that's actually a thing. Like really, like trust me, dude. Humans, machines, we're a little bit more sick in that sense than you think. um, with all that being said, though, we get a very interesting perspective on Drac and Joe from pretty much Laguna in this chapter, that the Element Four weren't just a group slapped together. They were actually a necessity to help maintain the balance of Drac and Joe's ether levels while he worked towards finding a way in order to permanently restore his youth. And this really shines a new light on Drac and Joe's philosophy on the four elements, because for him, it wasn't just a mantra about his power or his beliefs on alchemy. It was literally how the four of them had helped in preserving his life up to that point. And honestly, looking back, it really should have been a lot more obvious, because from basically what we know, just based off how long Drac and Joe had been preserving his life, the Element Four always did appear to be the ones that were the least unaffected by his life support machine, or affected the least. So it shows that he did take, if he was taking their life from them, he took the least amount from them he always took the least amount from them because he knew how important they were in preserving his ether levels. And knowing that, Laguna also gives our heroes a much needed warning that the only reason they beat Draken was because he wasn't in his prime, and that if they aren't careful, the next time they come across a member of the Six Demon Generals who isn't Elsie, they are more than likely to be destroyed. It's a very heavy premonition that really builds upon Poseidon Nero as a whole different kind of threat, as well as honestly in any of the other like future demon generals we end up facing. Like Laguna's warning in itself, it says to us that yeah, that our heroes they kind of got lucky with Drac and Joe, but with the other demon generals, they aren't gonna get so lucky if they're not careful. So yeah, I really like the build up there too. Um, but with that said, guys, that's all I've got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and list your Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.